Hello and welcome back to yet another installment of the Grass Dancer series. It is now July and I started filming this in May, so I apologize if there are any inconsistencies across all these videos. Time has passed. I change as a person. So far we have done the yoke, the apron, the belt, and the armbands. Today, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be doing the side drops. What are side drops, may you ask? Side drops are basically added flair to your regalia. They hang off of the belt area on, you guessed it, your sides, and they just provide extra visuals for your regalia while you're moving around. When you spin, they may flare out, and as you're dancing, they may kind of hop and move around, and they're nice to look at. They make you look nice to look at. There are several different ways to put on your side drops. The one that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be attaching them directly to the belt, so that when you put on the belt, the side drops are actually attached to the belt. There's no added step there. Some other ways are to put the side drops on a piece of elastic, and you put that elastic on over you, put your belt over on top. You can also apply a string to each side drop and tie each side drop on one at a time. Or you can put them both on the same string, and when you put it on, you either tie it in the front or you tie it in the back. Again, we're going to be applying them directly to the belt. And you know me, you know this channel, if you're returning anyways, we like to experiment here. I want to create a practical use out of these side drops by turning one of them, not both of them, just one of them, into a pocket. Not exactly like a full-fledged bag. We still want it to be able to move and be flappy enough for movement while dancing. But yeah, we're gonna turn one of them into a pocket. I hope this works because I didn't practice it, so we're gonna be learning if this works together. So with all that being said, all the materials will be listed in the description box below, as well as links to all of the other videos that are in this Grass Dancer Chronicles series. Please go check those out, and I'll quit talking your ear off. Let's get started. Here I have the apron, and this apron is about 15 inches long. And I dug this out because I want to sort of base the length of the side drops kind of as being a little longer than the apron. So I think I'm going to make them about 17 inches long, and with a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the bottom and a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the top, we're going to cut this piece to be 18 inches long. So again, when you consider seam allowance for the right and left side, we're going to cut that to be 5 inches wide instead of just 4. So I'm going to cut out a rectangle that is 5 by 18 inches. Excuse me, I actually mean to say I'm going to be cutting out 4 panels that are 5 by 18, and that's because 2 are going to make one side drop and the other 2 are going to make the other side drop. I do not know how I did this, but somehow I cut them not quite 5 inches. It's more like 4.5. I'm not gonna cut them again. We're just gonna live with it. I think what I'll just do to combat that error is, instead of sewing with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I will sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So please keep that in mind. Here I also have a scrap of muslin, and this is what I'm cutting the one pocket out of. I cut it the same width as the side drop here, which is now 4.5, and it's about 9 inches long. However long you want to make the pocket, if you're going to be following along with this, is totally up to you. I chose to make it about 9 inches long, just so that a phone can fit in it and maybe some cash. I also want to note that the bottom part is on the fold, so it should be more like an 18-inch long strip that's 4.5 inches wide, folded in half. We'll be sewing this one just down the sides, and then I'll show you what to do at the top when we get there. But for now, we're actually going to be taking 2 of these side drop flaps and throwing some applique at it. Oh yes, but before I do that, I want to change the shape of these side drops. I don't want them to be completely rectangular. I would like the bottom to have sort of a pointed banner look, kind of to match the yoke, right? So here I just found the very midpoint of this 4.5 inches, which is 2.25 inches. Once I found that midpoint, I decided I wanted it to be about 2 inches deep. So with seam allowance, I measured 1.5 inches, and then I connected that 1.5 mark with these outside points here. Now I'm going to cut this out, and then instead of measuring on all 4 of these, I'm just going to lay this on top of each one and use that sort of as a template so I know where to cut. Hi, future Chelsea just popping in here to say that you probably can also cut 2 pieces of interfacing just to thicken up the project a little bit, but I am actually choosing not to use any interfacing, and that's because I want these side drops to be extra flappy. Now that we have these done, we're going to take the other empty panels and put them right sides together and then stitch from here around these banner points and then all the way back up. The only thing I want to note is leave the about 1/2 inch of the top here unsewn. So you'll want to start right here and end right here and not sew all the way to and from the end. Alright, so now we have these sewn together and we have these flaps left open. Next thing we want to do is cut off these corners right here and then cut a slit in this right up to the thread, but be careful not to cut into your stitch. And then you don't have to do this, but I am just cutting off more of this seam here just to really reduce the bulk. Right, and now we want to take this and turn it right side out. It will take you a second, and when you're working with these points here, I really suggest grabbing something pokey that you can stick in there and really poke these corners out. And now please, 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 please iron this. So once you have both of these side drops assembled like so, if you are not going to do the pocket, do the same thing to both of them. But if you are going to do the pocket, we're going to do something different to the tops of each of these. For now, we're just going to do the non-pocket one. What we're going to be doing is folding each of these in about that 1/2 inch. But this is how it should look now, nice and clean on the ends. But once you get that done, then go ahead and just top stitch all along the edge there, just so that it looks like this. And now for the pocket, take your little pocket guy here and then sew down these two edges, but leave that top ½ inch open, just so that it looks like so. I wouldn't advise on trimming off this extra seam allowance. I know it'll reduce bulk if you do, but we want to keep the seam strong because it is a pocket and pockets get beat up. But next we'll take the pocket and just kind of shove it inside of this opening here, lining up the edges. Don't worry about the neatness of the pocket just yet. We'll fix that later on. So now what we want to do is basically split apart the pocket and the side drop so that a panel of the pocket and a panel of the side drop they're going to be paired together, right? And similarly to what we did here, where we folded these edges in on each other and then top stitched, we're going to do that for each side. We're going to fold the edges in on the front and then fold them in on the back so that this stays open. Alright, I have this all pinned up, and now we're gonna top stitch all the way around like we did here. There is a whole ass pocket here. I'm going to iron this, try and get it nice and flat. I can fit my whole hand in this. I think I might have made it too deep just because it's kind of tough to get your hand in there. I mean, I guess I could have just made it a little bit wider. And you know what? I tried. I did try. But I cut it too small, and then I forgot that this fabric kind of cinches up a little bit, so it is a little wider than 4 inches. I guess the original plan was 4 inches, so I don't know. Their hand is about the size of mine, if not bigger, so I guess I hope they don't put any little things in here. My intentions was like, here's something to carry your phone and your cash. Don't really advise putting anything else in there. Alright, next I would advise doing a quick little top stitch on both of the side drops around the entire edge here, and that's just to keep these two layers from separating while this hangs off of the body. Yeah, we don't want it to look bulky, we want it to look like one piece. Hi, Editing Chelsea here. I completely forgot to mention and film this next step, very important next step, which is to find where on the belt you'll be attaching the side drops. So what I did was I had the person that the regalia is for put on both the apron and the belt, and then with pins, I've just pinned on the belt where the gap between the front and back panels of the apron were, and that's where I attach the side drops in order to fill that gap. But if you're unable to do that, say because the person that the regalia is for isn't near you, you can find where to put the side drops by using measurements. So I'm just going to show you real quickly using my own body how to find those points. Okay, forgive me, I'm going to use my lanyard as an example because I'm not at home right now. Imagine this is twice the size. Imagine it's a full belt. The opening of the belt will be in the front, and then the very center of the belt is in the center of the back. So what we want to do is find the midpoint between the center of the back and the opening of the belt. And that midpoint would be right here. Once you find that midpoint, then you want to find the midpoint of the side drop and line those 2 points up. And that, my friends, is where you can place the side drop on each side. Here I am in bed past my bedtime because I can't bother going another day without this project being finished. I'm using heavy duty thread to attach the drops, and I'm also doubling up that heavy duty thread for extra strength because of the added stress of a pocket. But if you didn't install a pocket, then regular thread should be fine. I also used pliers, just use better ones than I did. Now I'm going to show you how I stitch the side drops onto the belt. You don't have to do this step precisely the way I did it, but I just thought some of the beginner sewers out there would appreciate me sharing these next few steps. Starting with the regular side drop that doesn't have a pocket, I'm inserting the needle directly below where the thread comes out and close to the edge of the material. Before driving the needle all the way through, I'm angling the needle slightly downward so that it comes out slightly lower than where I inserted it. For these stitches, we're dealing with several layers of material and thick thread, so pliers really will be your friend here for wiggling that needle and thread through. Now working on the back side, I'm inserting the needle next to where the thread comes out, with a small space in between of course, and letting the needle exit out the top edge of the side drop. Then similar to the first step, I'm inserting the needle directly below where the thread comes out and near the edge of the material, before repeating all of these steps until the side drop is completely attached. For the side drop with the pocket, repeat these steps only with the inner layer that rests against the body.